G'day guys, and welcome to PBHQ Live. This is episode number 338. I am Dwayne Nichols. Got heaps on tonight. The NXL was played over the weekend in the US. Obviously the men's NXL, now the WNXL, the pro division for the women, is gaining more strength. Some new teams featured in that division. We had the Manawatu Titans from New Zealand, or was some of their roster from New Zealand, heading over to join some US-based guys to play in the semi-pro division for the first time, as well as some stuff that happened here in Australia. Total War happened, and if you're at Total War, the highlights video from that event will be played in full here on PBHQ a little bit later tonight. I'll be mentioning some upcoming events. The MXBL in Malaysia was played over the weekend. That STK Entourage were featured at. A bit of news about the NXL ACT this weekend, as well as other stuff. Upcoming events are constantly scrolling through here, so keep an eye on that. Some stuff from sponsors of the show as well. So let me know who you are and where you are if you're joining in the chat at the moment. You can shout out your team. You can shout out an event that you played at. You can tell me what you thought of the event, good, bad, or otherwise. Michael Namoski is in. Connor Johnston is in. Estevan from Wicked Warriors. River from the Mid Coast Convicts is in. Jordan Bradshaw, Alex Smith on the way back from Total War. Shout out to those guys. Going to be talking about them a little bit later. Chester is in. Craig from Adelaide. Susan from the US. Will from South Australia. And Chris Dickens from WA. I think we've ticked off most states across the country there pretty quickly. Or maybe no one from Queensland. Did I get anyone from Queensland? Maybe we need to text all our favourite Queenslanders and get them in here. But thanks for checking out tonight's show if you are in nice and early. If you can hit the share button, that would be great. And if you are looking at the video at the moment, whether that's on your phone, your tablet, or your PC, and you realise that you haven't yet subscribed to the PBHQ YouTube channel, we'll go ahead and do that too. Cooper is in at the moment and says that he'll be sending over a jersey for me this week. Had a good chat to him after last week's show. Pretty excited to have a new jersey coming over for the background of the show. Speaking of, I actually have a new jersey up in the background of the show right now. The Tassie Tigers jersey. So Lucas, who won the major prize for being a Patreon supporter last year, as part of his $2,000 shopping spree at paintballshop.com, of all the prizes he bought, one of the prizes he bought was 8 jerseys for him and his team, or 7 jerseys for him and his team, and an 8th jersey for me to have up in the background of the show. So shout out to Lucas, and for everyone that supports the show via Patreon. Your names are scrolling along the bottom there, but in particular this week to Lucas for that cool little gift of their new jersey up in the background. I also bought some gear this week, including a carbon mask that was sold secondhand from Brandon over in South Australia. A whole bunch of gear rocked up on my doorstep this morning. So I've got that up in the background of the show. And my plan with that is that when we get new players here in Wagga, that I'll be selling it on cheap. There was loaders, tanks, a bit of playing gear, like clothing wise as well. So all of that stuff is boxed up and on the floor just next to me at the moment. But we'll be heading out to the field soon. So, been a pretty big week for me involved in paintball, and I've got some big stuff to get into. So let's just crack on. Paintballshop.com, they are doing free shipping on HK harnesses this week. So if you need a pod pack harness, an ammo belt, if you go by the code HK ammo belt is the code that you need over at paintballshop.com. They will ship it out to you for free this week only. So paintballshop.com. And if you're familiar with HK's pod packs or harnesses, they have so many different styles, so many different colorways. The thing about HK that they do better than anybody is that they give you more choices as far as colors and styles and that type of thing. Whatever your preferred colorway is for your kit, I'm sure they will have it. If you prefer the strapless packs, they have those. If you prefer the old school Velcro style, the most common packs, well, they've got those, and they've even got the MagTech ones as well. So paintballshop.com is the place you need to go to get those. Luke is in at the moment. Connor saying he's heard good things about those goggles. Yeah, hey, can I give an honest feedback on these? Grab them out of there. So I tried one on at the NXL ACT and thought that they were pretty sweet. You'll get a nice reflection of everything that's going on here in my office at the moment. When I tried these on earlier, and this may just be my opinion, people can chime in on this, but I feel like my field of view is kind of small in these things. And I don't know why, but I feel like when I'm wearing it, I'm really aware of the foam at the bottom. Like I can almost see it. I don't know if it sits further off my face or... Yeah, I'm not entirely sold on the carbon mask. They're clearly well made, super soft, and they are comfortable. But the field of view feel like might be a little bit on the small side. Just a personal opinion. And that's only putting them on here in the house. Maybe I've got to get them on out at the field and see how they go. But I don't think I'll be swapping out my Push Unites for the Carbon Zero mask. All things just yet. Quick shout out from Gladiator 2, and this doesn't apply to everyone because there are some places in the country where this still might be illegal. But made for mag fed, these C15 tanks, Gladiator tell me that they've got a bunch of them. They're looking to move them on. If you're looking to sell, they're looking to sell. And if you're looking to buy these C15 tanks, so these are the ones that fit within your mag-fed gun stocks. They're only 22 centimeters long. They weigh less than half a kilo, 15 cubic inches of air. So that's about a quarter of a liter of air. Like all Gladiator tanks, infinite lifetime insofar as long as it keeps passing its 5-year tests, they will keep on passing it, and you do not have a 15-year life on them like you would other tanks. Chris Thomas is joining in. Chris Dickens actually saying, how do they fare with a hit in the mouth area? It looks like it would let a lot through. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Anyone that's wore the carbon mask might be able to chime in on that. I mean, there is a lot of ventilation there, but I wouldn't say it's dramatically more than any other mask. There's a lot of small holes, but other masks have like long sort of cuts or slices made in them. So whilst it looks like there's less, they're probably bigger. Who knows? John O'Collins is joining in. Luke saying Sunday for Wagga. Yeah, well, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, so it's not too far away. The Wagga 3-man, well, there it is, right there. You can see being promoted right now. And if you've been following my field on social media, you've probably seen that our toilets are going through a reno at the moment. So new flooring and new petitions all through the toilets just in time for the 3-man. Exciting stuff, I'm sure, for everyone that will be here on the day. The big news of the weekend, though, is that the Dynasty continues. What a fitting name for a team. They came up with that team name some 23 years ago or something along those lines. I think that's around about the beginnings of Dynasty, and they really are a dynasty. They just continue to win at the highest level. There was a time going back a couple of years ago where I was one of the people, amongst many people, making a case that Impact were one of the greatest teams of all time. And that is still true. Impact are not a bad team, but they went on a tear for a couple of years there. But Dynasty are just like ultra consistent. They've played on fields with blind layouts. They've played fields where they've had a month to do it. Fast fields, slow fields, technical fields, counter-attacking fields. It doesn't matter. The crew just seem to get the job done. They add Chris Shear to the team. They add Harrison Fry to the team. They lose Kyle Spicker. They just keep getting the job done. I mean, Ryan Greenspan, he's at the top of his game. Marcelo Margot, incredible. Archie, one of the best in the world. Chris saying, I've been dying to say that all day, haven't you? Yeah. And Chris saying that he's happy to shoot me in the mouth to test it. Well, let's not do that. Connor Johnson saying, bloody boring event, great finals. Wimpy saying that field though and all the Z's. Yeah, I totally agree. We'll start at 8 a.m. next Sunday, mate. For the first games, you can probably arrive from 7 a.m. Depending on how keen I am to get out of bed on the Sunday morning. But so I went to re-sign up to Go Sports on my phone, and I've got my phone here. If I can quickly bring this up to show you guys. And Go Sports on my PC, when I go to sign up, is $10 US a month, which is about 15 Australian. And then when I bring this up on my phone over the weekend, is that going to focus? Maybe it's not going to. I apologize. Maybe. Well, it says $23.99 a month is that it wants for a Go Sports Live subscription. So when I seen that and knowing that the event was being played between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. here in Australia, and I was working all weekend anyway, the value was just not there for me. Go Sport, and then I did see that Go Sports put some of the live stream up on Sunday and Friday, I think it was, a little bit up on YouTube for free, which I did watch. And I seen a bunch of people complaining in the comments on YouTube that their Go Sports app wasn't working as well as they'd like to. Funnily enough, Will McDonald actually said that he checked out some games on Friday but had to have the volume down. I'm not sure if he was at work or what he was doing, but he had to have the volume down, and he thought that his stream had died, but that's how slow the field played. It was incredibly boring to watch some of the Sunday morning games. I seen Infamous versus, and it escapes me at the moment, and the game was 1-0, 16-minute match. It was an 11-minute point, and then a 5-minute stalemate. Absolute snore fest. And I like fields that are, so I guess you would say technical or a bit more nuanced, however you want to phrase it. I like that it makes the players maybe think a bit more, better teamwork, but you need to give the players the opportunity, a risk and reward thing, and the risks were too great on this field to make that bump beyond the 50s. The rewards weren't there because the risk was so high that you would just die more often than not. In the few games that I watched, absolute snorefest. I know they had to change the layout late because of an issue of safety, but I don't think that changed anything. Crazy. Wimpy saying, pretty sure the Go Sports is grandfathered at $10. Yeah, well, I cancelled during COVID, and I don't know if the PC thing is still offering that $10 to me. But yeah, $23 a month, especially when the events are played at a really inconvenient time for us here in Australia. I just wasn't going to sign up this time around. I was just saying, haven't had any bad mouth shots with the carbon mask, but I was having some problems with fogging. Yeah, I definitely have heard other people having dramas with fogging with them. That actually came up at the NXL ACT with this mask. Carbon have recently, and I say recently, it was probably the end of last year, they've now got a visor-mounted fan for their mask, so they've addressed that. If you want to buy an additional bit of gear, I guess that is one way to avoid it. But yeah, as a high-end mask, to have any fogging issues is probably isolated. I don't know. The KLRs did. I know of a few people that had issues with KLRs and fogging, but I don't see it with Push Unites. I've not heard of it with the HK SLRs, the Dye i5s, the Bunker Kings. What are their masks? Not the Control. That's the loader. The Bunker Kings, something or other. Someone's going to have to tell me. You just don't see it. Even grills, Proflexes, whatever. No one has fogging in high-end masks, so not a great selling point for the carbons. Luke saying all about the money for them. And Chris is saying, sorry, there was some fantastic moments still. Lucy and I enjoyed watching it while she had food. Yeah, and when you do see some of the moments, and there's been a lot shared on social media, some of the highlights look really impressive, but they were so few and far between in the bits that I watched. Yeah, and there is bootleg coverage of the finals up on NXL, so if you're not a Go Sports subscriber, someone put it up there earlier today. Command, yes, yeah, thanks, Chris. Yeah, so again, the Bunker Kings Command, they were a great goggle. I don't recall anyone ever having fogging with those, so yeah, that's just a little bit of feedback. I suppose if you're considering a high-end goggle, and these are right up there price-wise, it might be worthwhile trying them on and seeing if they are the one for you. The WNXL was also played. They extended to 8 teams from 6. Destiny got the win for the first event this year. They beat the Cheaters in the final. Oh, and I should, going back to the men's event just quickly, it was Tampa Bay Damage that got second place behind Dynasty. They seem to do particularly well at the Florida-based events when they're in their home state. The Edwards boys are class. Keith Brown, all class, to be expected. And as far as surprise packets go, it's no surprise that Dynasty were there, that Heat were there on Sunday, X Factor were there. You know, the teams that you would expect to be there, but a team that you may have expected to be there that was not there was AC Diesel, with all of the signings that they had over the offseason. I haven't seen any of their matches, but for whatever reason, it just did not work for those guys. And a quick shout out to the guys from the Manawatu Titans playing in semi-pro. They ended up in a 5-team bracket where they placed third. The 2 teams they placed behind went on to finish 2nd and 5th overall in the event. So tough draw for those guys. Hopefully they get a little bit more of a friendly draw next time around for the next event in Texas, and we'll see them playing on Sunday as well. They won one of their matches, and they had 3 losses, including one loss by 1 point and another loss by only 2 points. So they were in the fight. One match against Blast Camp, I think it was, they got blown off the park 4 or 5-0. But Blast Camp were a genuine chance of getting a pro spot last year. So there is no shame in that. In your first outing, Luke saying, what about old mate who did a run and slipped over? Oh, yeah, I did see that semi-pro. There was I don't think you would call it, not a punch-up, but there was a guy that punched another guy in the semi-pro division. A bit of stuff that's been going around on social media for that. So, I don't think, look, he definitely got overshot, but I don't think it was that malicious. I don't think it was that bad. I've certainly been shot more and worse and not been happy about it, but I've not felt like going up and punching someone. I'm not sure what the outcome was there, if he got banned or whatever, but you don't need to be doing that. Alex saying, my commands never fog, have had push goggles fog though. Yeah, I've never had the push goggles fog. The only issue I've ever had with my push mask is at Canberra at one end of the field, early in the morning when the sun's first coming up. There must just be some particular angle at the start gate. You get mad glare and they don't have a visor. So that's sort of unavoidable with the pushes. But outside of that, I've never had fogging or any issue as far as that's concerned. And Connor saying semi-pro is no joke this year. Yeah, and there is a lot of former pros stepping down into semi-pro this year. I mentioned it last week on the show, so it makes the semi-pro division even tougher. Got some results to mention from Total War, and I love this photo. I shared a similar photo earlier. This is from John Abello from the Bushballers Sydney group. Photo of Elmo, dual wielding. Only 90 players, or around 90, Adam said in his message earlier to me today, which is the smallest Total War that they have ever run. They still ran with all the pyro, all the music, all the good stuff that you would expect. The UEF ended up on 440 points, SASR 406. The next event is coming up on June 18. Special mention to all the guys from Victoria. I think they had a crew of about 10 guys from Victoria head up this time. Ryan's in the chat. Alex is in the chat too. Those guys, they're trying to grow their scene locally in Victoria. And as part of that, they are also trying to grow the interstate crew that are making their way up to events like Total War. So, yeah, big shout out to those guys. Core Photography also sent some unreal photos that I'm sure you will see later in the week that I was potentially going to use on the show tonight, but I just couldn't go past that photo of Elmo with 2 guns. And as Adam Connolly pointed out, a photo of him using a gun in his left hand correctly for the first time ever. If you're familiar with Elmo's play style, which you will have been if you've ever come up against him, he is known in the US, they call it Kentucky left hand. Some people say he's serving tea. I think it should be known as Lithgow left hand here, given that Elmo's from that part of the world. But yeah, dual wielding there, looking like a boss. Chris Thomas saying AC was surprisingly disappointing. And Connor saying the Russians were also horrible. Yeah, I did see their results. Did they win 1 game? Maybe, I think. Yeah, terrible results for the Russians. They could be in for a tough time for a team that was so dominant and winning events going back. I think they won an event in like 2018 or they got a second in 2018 when they were last sponsored by MacDev. The first year that they were sponsored by Dye, I think they won an event. And then in 2020, I think they may have even got like a podium finish. But last year, the year prior, not so much. They've been missing Sundays, which is very unlike them. Yeah, really, really struggling. So Total War, if you were there, I've got the highlights video queued up. Usually Adam sends me like a 1-minute clip and then uploads like a 3-minute clip later. I've got the full 3-minute clip and I'm going to run the whole thing for you tonight. So check it out and watch for some of the drone shots. Incredible stuff from the guys at Action Paintball in getting this video together in under 24 hours. Check it out. All right, so there you have it. What did you think? I love those videos. More so, I just love that the fact that they can get it together in such a short period of time. Some events, and it's no, I'm not bagging photographers here, but some events don't get photos up from their events for like a month after the fact. Like the field takes the photos and doesn't put them up for a month afterwards. Or some people don't have any media coverage of their events whatsoever, and that's fine too. But it is seriously impressive to get that much stuff together in a video, produced, done up, and out within a day for everyone to check it out. So shout out to Adam and the guys there who did that. I don't know who was behind flying the drone. I don't know if Mike and Liz were out there taking footage as well, but whoever did it, unreal job. Love it. Shout out to everyone who played that event. Quick mention for the other event over the weekend was the MXBL over in Malaysia. The Ballistic Warriors got the win in Division 1. Savages, which is the team on your screen here in the photo by Axe Media, they got second. And Duckside, a well-known team from that part of the world, they got third. In Division 2, the team who won is called Unknown. This is not like a who's on first gig. I do know who they are. Their team name is called Unknown. Elmo Had, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the team that got second. And they have one of the best logos I have seen in paintball, if you get the chance to check it out. It is Elmo, the little red furry monster from Sesame Street, who looks like he's turned into some sort of cannibal with like blood dripping from his mouth. Incredible stuff. And then the King Squad got third. In Division 2, STK Entourage were playing in that event, and I believe they made it through to the Sunday games, but were knocked out at the quarterfinal stage, so missed out on the semifinals, so they finished somewhere between 5th and 8th. I actually didn't follow up to get specifics, but I know that they just missed out on playing semifinals. You can see that the field, they had rain on and off, so the guys from Entourage were pretty familiar with that, given that they'd just been off the back of playing in Singapore the week before and dealing with the rain there. So yeah, pretty incredible. 100 terabytes of raw footage? That can't be right. I mean, I wouldn't expect that to be right. But over the course of the years, the amount of footage that they would have collected and they would have would be astronomical. Yeah, I'm always impressed by that. The MXBL, they had a webcast up on the Sunday. I didn't get to watch much of it. I was at work most of the day. But if you did, it was a pretty decent webcast. Dave and the guys there have put together a pretty good show. And that webcast will be coming up again this weekend on Sunday for the MXBL. Same layout, another 18 teams lining up over the weekend. Webcast on Sunday only for their Division 3 event. So check that one out this weekend. If you're doing nothing on Sunday, you can watch some paintball from Malaysia. Previews for this weekend. Now, this changed. I had this graphic done up about half an hour or 40 minutes before the show. There might be a change as far as this is concerned. So the NXL ACT coming up this weekend, they had 4 teams registered. I spoke to Michael Burt, who helps organize these a little bit, and then Graham emailed me back later this evening saying that they had 4 teams. But the guys from PPG had been chasing up some stuff, and they are looking like they're not going to get the refs in for the event, and that they'll just be having a social day of paintball with 4 teams. It's not particularly financially viable to have 8 refs out there for the day. Your entry fees is and whatnot is across 4 teams is not going to cover the costs of all the various things that it takes to put on an event. So I imagine if they just have a social day, obviously they won't sell as much paint, but then they don't have all of the outgoing costs associated with running a tournament. So I can't entirely confirm that, but it seems that way based on what the guys were saying from Paintball Sports to PPG. It's a shame. The event clashed a little bit with the Wagga 3-man coming up next weekend. So our teams from here in Wagga, we'd already committed, obviously, to playing the Wagga 3-man, so we weren't going to play events on back-to-back weekends. We usually take 3 teams over to the event, so it's a big hit when we're unavailable for the event, and other teams like the Lumberjacks, who have travelled in the past, Wicked Assassins have travelled in the past, going back to 2021, the Eskimo Brothers have, and for whatever reason, those teams aren't heading back. But the 3 local Canberra teams were booked in. PPG were heading back. Those guys really like the Canberra events, and we do too. And we really like the guys from PPG. Spend a lot of time in and around the pits with those guys at the events. So hopefully they can get back down there at the end of April, I believe, is the next Canberra 5-man NXL. And hopefully it's all back up and running for that one. Brad Short is checking in, says that he'll have his late note next week. Yeah, just get it signed by your parents. Make sure you got a good excuse. And I just wanted to quickly mention on the beginners 3-man, the first weekend of April coming up in Canberra. So just a couple of weekends away. And if you're disappointed that the event is not happening and you're based in Canberra, you're disappointed that there's not enough teams for the event this weekend, well, the best thing that you can do is get some of your friends from around your area to play in the beginners 3-man in April and throughout the remainder of this year, and get them sold on playing paintball, because beginners events are for most of us where we enter into the game, and you can't have new blood in the sport if they're not playing beginners events. So get your friends to play paintball at a beginners 3-man, and then they'll find their way, or some of them will find their way into 5-man teams. So I would encourage everyone in Canberra to do that. What else have I got to do here tonight? I've got to mention some birthdays just quickly, including Simo, pictured here from here in Wagga, celebrating a birthday later this week. Brett Morton from South Australia, celebrating a birthday today. Linny from New Zealand tomorrow, and Sam from down in Tasmania on, what day is that? Wednesday, celebrating birthdays. So happy birthday to all you guys. I hope it is an enjoyable one. Simo might be looking to sell that purple Lux he was only telling me last week. If anyone's interested in a purple Lux, you might be able to get your hands on a bit of a deal on that one. We had a bit of a discussion at the field, not this weekend just gone, but the weekend prior. So if you're in the market for a purple Lux, I know a guy. And then I've got to do a giveaway. I mentioned it last week on the show that there is a giveaway to do, and I've just clicked the button a little bit too early there. I'll come back to me for just a moment. 4 PB athlete shirts. They will be, there was a pre-order done earlier in the year. They're in production. They should have already arrived, but like so many things at the moment, production delays have hampered that. So 4 people will win a PB athlete Decay dry fit. I'll be giving them away in a moment. I'm going to spin the list up 3 times. The people in the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 slots after the 3rd spin will each win a shirt. You'll just have to speak to Connor about your size, your address, and organize all of that with him. And as soon as they arrive late this month or early next month, he will get them out to you. Let me bring that back up and let's do this giveaway. Let's spin this up 3 times. Like I mentioned, 1, 2, 3, and 4 after the 3rd spin is your winners. So you've got my cursor there, hopefully. Begin giveaway. So you results of round 1, you see them here, but they're not your winners tonight. They could be, but they're not just yet. Second time around, Chris Thomas in the chat, not a winner. Well, at least not yet. And big red button, final round. Let's spin it up again. Bert, who I mentioned from Canberra, he is a winner. Connor from here in Wagga is a winner. Shane from Victoria and Callum from Sydney are all winners of some PB Athlete gear. So shout out to all of those guys. I'll be in touch. I'll get you in touch with Connor if you are not already mates with him and don't know how to get in touch with him, and you can organize to get yourself a new shirt, all for being a patron of PBHQ. Well, essentially it is like sponsorship. You do support this show and keep it alive and allow me to do all of the things that I do here. Connor saying my life pain, but they're almost here, or almost there. And Richard saying bounty hunters still have a raffle to sell. Yeah, if you want to win a GoPro, you can do that from those guys, the bounty hunters in Adelaide. The Adelaide Assassins are actually selling merchandise as well at the moment. They sent me or shared with me some of the t-shirts that they're selling. So if you want to buy a shirt and support those guys, that's an option. Chris Thomas also mentioned in the chat a shout out for his fundraiser. He's planking for a minute or 2 a day every day this month for Ronald McDonald House. He had a $600 and something goal, and I was the person who chipped in the last $30 to reach the goal. But of course, you can go beyond the goal. So Ronald McDonald House, obviously, where Chris and his wife Kylie spent a bit of time after the birth of their daughter at the end of last year. So a cause close to those guys, and so many people would have known stories of what Ronald McDonald House does. So if you can support them, go over and chip in a few bucks as well. But that's everything I have for tonight's PBHQ. I'm going to leave it there and say good night for now. I hope you can join me next Monday. We'll be back with the results from the MXBL Division 3, and we're rolling into a bunch more events, including the Wagga 3-man, the NXL WA, and then April is jam-packed with events, so keep an eye out for those ones. Have a good week. I'll see you next Monday. Bye.